MAKEARRAY in Google Sheets generates an array of numbers, either those you specify or a set of random numbers. We'll be using this formula in the first example. The R in the formulas equals row, and the C equals column. The formula says to make an array that adds the rows and column numbers together. In the formula that shows, I designate 3 rows and 2 columns where I add the row and columns together. So why does it show 4 rows and 3 columns? Because I'm showing that you can adjust the formula to have any number of rows and columns that you want. I adjusted the formula I put in cell A1. The formula for this array has 4 rows and 3 columns. But where did the numbers in the array come from? The formula assumes the rows and columns are consecutive, and it's using those numbers to create the array. Let's assume you had the columns numbered. We'll insert some cells above the array and represent the column numbers. Let's do the same thing for the rows. I'll insert cells next to the array to represent row numbers. Now you can see the formula takes the row number plus the column number to make the array. The intersection of row number 1 plus column number 1 results in cell B2 being 1 plus 1, or 2. Or row 3 plus column 3 results in cell D4 being 3 plus 3, or 6. Note that even though we added the row and column numbers, the MAKEARRAY formula didn't need them to work, and if you wanted to show the row or column numbers, the formula was not affected by adding them to the sheet. Let's check out another use for MAKEARRAY. This time, we want to generate a set of random numbers. We'll ask for 10 rows and 4 columns of randomly generated numbers between 40 and 95. I put the formula in cell A10, and that resulted in 10 rows and 4 columns of randomly generated data. I can use that same formula in any cell to generate another set of random data. Note that I arbitrarily changed the I and J designation to M and N. You can do this, too, if you want. They're just spaceholders for the rows and columns. Caution. Look carefully at what happens to the random numbers when I add data to the sheet. For example, in cell E10, type a 1, and press Enter. All of the randomly generated numbers regenerated to new numbers. No matter where I add new data, this occurs. For example, type a 2 in cell J10. Again, all of the randomly generated numbers regenerated to different numbers. Unfortunately, removing the new data doesn't reproduce the originally created array numbers. Let's see what happens. Delete the 1 in cell E10. That regenerated all new numbers again in both arrays. The same thing will happen when I delete the 2 in cell J10. To keep an array of randomly generated numbers, select the cells with the data you want to keep. Right-click in the selected cells. Click Copy. With that data in your clipboard, right-click into any cell. With your mouse, hover over Paste Special. Click Values Only. Scroll over to see the static data you just pasted. Let's see what happens when you add data to this set of numbers. Type 1 into cell O10, and press Enter. Note that your copied array didn't change, but the data from the original dataset, column I, did change. Let's see what happens when you delete the 1 in cell O10. Again, your copied array didn't change, but the data from the original dataset, column I, did change. Now you know to save your randomly generated arrays as static text if you want to preserve the numbers. Here's another way you can use the MAKEARRAY formula. To make a multiplication table. That formula says to make 10 rows and 10 columns and multiply the row numbers by the column numbers. Copy the formula into your clipboard. Paste that formula in the cell where you want to start the array. Like in our first example, we can either assume the rows and columns are labeled 1 through 10, or we can type their designations in without affecting the array. Now we have a 10 by 10 multiplication table. Note, because we didn't include random in the formula, typing those headings will not affect the array. Scroll up to the top of the sheet. Enjoy experimenting with MAKEARRAY. That's it, you're done. Thanks to Ben Collins for the inspiration for this tutorial.